The Winnipeg Comedy Festival proudly presents Good Neighbors. And now please welcome a neighbor who takes great pride in his grass, your host, Tommy Chong.
Thank you. Please sit down, please. Wow, it's nice being here in, where am I? The Peg, Winnipeg. No, you got some really good dope in this town, man. No, I know, because I brought it. Oh, the theme of my show is supposed to be Good Neighbors. Well, I thought about it, man. I am probably the best neighbor in the world because I have access to all the weed I need. And I got so much, I give it away. I do. In fact, I wanted to put it under every seat in the theater. I did, but, you know, there's something about laws and shit. We got a young stoner in Parliament now. What's his name? Trudeau. Mick Jagger's son. But no, weed, man. Weed saved my life. Really did. I had cancer twice. And if it wasn't for weed, man, I wouldn't be here tonight. No, it did, you know, and people, how does marijuana work on cancer? Well, I don't know the technical term, but I think what happens when you take weed, you know, the cancer cells get so f***ed up, they forget why they're there. Just wander off, you know. So the thing is, man, marijuana is a gift from God. It's in the Bible. In fact, God's a stoner. The first page, it says, he is known as the Most High. That's right. And he turned Moses on. And Moses talked to the burning bush. I've done that. God appeared to Moses in the form of a burning bush. And he said, Mo, come here, boy. This bud's for Jews. You want to have fun? Our next performer is a young lady that I'm sure Donald Trump would love to have a chat with. She's a Muslim, and she's really funny. Give it up for Shazia Mirza.
Hello, Canada. Thank you for letting me into your country. Now, I go to America a lot. Well, I used to. I can't get in anymore, not on the list. Oh, I am on the list, sorry. And I always do really well in America because they think I'm Mexican. I have never been offered so many cleaning jobs in my whole life. Now, all we hear now is integrate, and then we'll accept you. Now, my parents, they're from Pakistan, but they love being British. Like my dad, he's called Mohammed, but he abbreviates it to Bob. And they all did that in the 60s. Like my Uncle Salim has got a 6-foot beard, prayed 5 times a day, let his wife out on a Tuesday. And he was called Jasper. And John and Helen, who live next door, they're getting very confused. So we've abbreviated their names to Iqbal and Perveen. Now, I'm definitely British. I'm very British. When someone pushes in front of me in the queue, I tap politely and exchange views with other customers. If I was a proper Pakistani, I'd behead them on the spot, wouldn't I? That would be a more effective way of clearing the queues at Walmart. Good relations begin in the house. And my parents, they have been married for 45 years and they hate each other. They hate each other, but they can't be bothered to leave each other. They can't be bothered demonstrating their hatred, apart from occasionally tripping each other down the stairs. Or accidentally grazing each other's faces against the stucco wall. They're just jokes. Now, the thing is, there would be serious ramifications, or in their case, ramadamifications, if they split up. Because I think who'd put the bins out? And who'd get the 20-kilogram bag of basmati rice that every Asian person has in their hallway? Most normal people have a hat stand or a table to put their letters. My parents have bags of basmati rice in case there is a famine in Birmingham. If there are ever floods in Birmingham, that house is gonna fluff up and burst. Neighbours, you know, they're a bit like family. You can't choose them, but they are still there. I live in London, where most people would rather not know their neighbours. Not because they're rude, it's just because it's so embarrassing. I mean, it's like, you know, when you're sat next to somebody on a 12-hour flight. Do you say hi and introduce yourself before you take off? And then have to listen to them talk about their dog, their family, and their triple heart bypass? No, it's much better to smile politely, you know, and pretend that they're not there, even while they are snoring, drooling, and farting their way through your in-house movie. If I want someone to stop talking to me on the plane, I just get out my Quran. And pilot's manual. Thank you very much, everybody.
After the break, the interstellar comedy of Sean Emeny, here on the Winnipeg Comedy Festival.
Okay, our next performer is a young fellow that seems to be everywhere all the time. So give it up for Sean Emeny.
Hey, how you guys doing? Me too. All right, very good. The show's about neighbors, and when you think about neighbors, you usually think of the guy next door, the family down the street, but really the concept of neighbors is relative. Could be anybody. Could be the person beside you, a nearby town. The United States is our neighbor to the south, and Andromeda is considered our closest neighboring galaxy. Yeah, I know it's 2 million light years away, but if the Milky Way needed to borrow a cup of sugar, you wouldn't go all the way to Centaurus A. That would be ridiculous. You'd have to travel like 4,000 kiloparsecs, and by the time you got there, your coffee would be cold, especially in minus 2 billion degree weather, 5 billion with the wind chill. But there's no wind in space. Okay, fine, you got me. Thank you. Venus is the closest planet. She's like the girl next door, although a little stuck up, won't talk to us, never has us over, won't give us the Wi-Fi password. People always talk about the girl next door. I like to beat the girl next door to the girl next door. I bet she's like really average. Mars is our buddy. We've been there. He's got a cool place, although it's hard to get on the property because it's surrounded by a giant asteroid field, which, believe me, is way scarier than a dog. Everybody always tells me, you wanted me to girl, you better get a dog. I just have a rabbit. I'm getting really tired of meeting magicians. Mercury has the smallest orbit. It actually passes Earth 4 times a year like a gust of wind, creates havoc, messes up our communication. They call it Mercurian retrograde. If you heard of it, I don't know. Mercurian retrograde is kind of like a bratty kid on Gatorade, running around the yard, spraying the hose everywhere, playing Nicky Nicky 9 Planets. Actually, now there's only 8 planets because Pluto somehow managed to get kicked out of being a planet. I didn't even know how that was possible. Like, we're scientists just a bunch of mean high school girls? Pluto is so not in our solar system anymore. Then we discovered planets even further than Pluto. Maybe they like to be in our solar system. Pluto's like, guys, I'm right here. Earth is always discovering stuff because we're nosy. We're totally the nosy neighbor with our telescopes spying on all the other planets right in the middle of the gossip. Venus has a boyfriend. I guess you don't know him. He goes to another galaxy, okay? They're in a very long-distance relationship. I'm in a long-distance relationship. I live on Earth. My girlfriend has no idea. You can see UFOs every day if you're really bad at identifying objects. It's cool to be in the Mile High Club unless you're on the space shuttle. Then it's like, dude, calm down. We just took off. Pace yourself. They drink Tang on the space shuttle. They have to. Kool-Aid's too risky. You can't have the Kool-Aid man crashing through that wall, get sucked into hyperspace. Cherry Kool-Aid all over the galaxy. If you're commuting in space, you better use the space shuttle. Public transit's a joke. They stop at like every asteroid, and for God's sake, don't take the number 4 Halley's Comet Express. You'll be waiting like 75.3 years. If you lose your transfer, infinity. I asked a girl on a date, she said, negative infinity, no chance. Which is a double negative, so I guess she said yes. When I was a kid, I used to think Saturn's rings were made of ice, maintained by the galaxy's most dedicated Zamboni driver. They had some wicked hockey games, but they keep getting interrupted. The kids gotta yell, Comet! Okay, game on. Saturn's rings are mostly made of space garbage, although probably it should be in recycling. Neptune has a lot of space garbage. It's mostly just dust and radiation, a few McDonald's wrappers, an old car on cinder blocks, a family of 4. It's totally haunted. Extreme Makeover wants nothing to do with it, man. When I was practicing this set, somebody actually went, "Aw." But they felt sorry for Neptune. It's like, who cares, you know? Like, 8th world problems, am I right? And it's not even a good planet. Like, Mercury's the closest to the sun. Pluto's the furthest. Jupiter's the biggest. Venus is a sex goddess. Saturn has sick rings. What does Neptune do? Nothing. Just shows up, drinks everyone else's beer. And Neptune's like the god of the sea. With a name like that, you gotta do better. In retrospect, we probably should have just named it Steve. It's like naming your kid Spartacus, and all he does is bury himself in the sandbox and eat caterpillars. If I was in space, I would just eat whatever I wanted. Get on the scale, yes, 0 pounds, same as yesterday. Most popular show in the galaxy is Neil deGrasse Jr. High Tyson. It's about the cosmos when they were angsty teenagers dealing with serious but relatable issues. It's my best joke. Hey, you know what's even better than horoscopes? Thinking with your brain. You know who hates that joke? Libras. Oh my God, so typical. The Big Bang was for sure the best party the galaxy ever had. 13 billion years later, people are still talking about it. Planets were off their orbits, man. Neptune got drunk, made out with Venus. Mercury was on Gatorade. Saturn was a DJ, spinning those rings. Pluto was invited, then uninvited. Jupiter showed up with like 15 moons. It's like, come on, dude, it's a +1. And Earth observed and recorded the entire thing. There's one other planet there. Some of you pronounce it like a body part. But I'm gonna pronounce it Uranus so they can play this on TV. Okay, thank you very much, guys.
He's never met a border or a border guard he couldn't cross. Here's Rob Bebenek.
How's it going, Winnipeg? Yeah, look at all you lovely, sweet-looking Canadian people. You guys are all so sweet, right? 'Cause you're Canadian, right? You're nice. Sooner or later, we gotta just own up to the fact that we are not the nice ones in our relationship with our neighbors to the south, right? Everyone thinks around the world, oh, Canadians are so nice. Americans are awful. That's not the way it is. You ever ask an American what they think of a Canadian? George's just like, oh, they're so great. They're just great little people up there with their cute hats. They're awesome. I love them so much. You ever ask a Canadian what they think of an American? What about you guys? You got anything nice to say? Oh, sure, when there's one around, yeah. We're not stupid. We know there's a good chance they're armed. You make something up, right? You're just like, well, yeah, they're pretty good at like the Olympics and like weapons and stuff. Right? Get us alone though, and it's open season, right? I don't know. I hate crossing the border though. I really hate it. Even when I have proper paperwork and I'm doing something totally legal, I hate it, right? Has anybody crossed the border recently? Was it fun? No, of course not. Right? Because you start pulling up to that little booth and you start feeling bad about things you've never thought about doing in your life. Right? You're just driving up to that thing, you're like, oh, I shouldn't have killed all those bald eagles. That's gonna catch up with me here. And you get there and they ask you simple questions, but your brain shuts off, right? They'll just look at you and be like, you got anything in the trunk? And you just panic. You're like, well, 30 seconds ago I said nothing, but now there's a good chance it's full of dead kids stuffed with guns and heroin. I can't do this today, peace. You can't do that either, right? You can't quit when you get to the front of the line, right? Where are you headed? Back to Canada, but I can't do this today. They'll chase you down the highway. It's not the same the other way around, right? Like coming in the Canadian side's hilarious, right? It's just that you come up to that little red booth and the guy pops his head out the window, he's like, hey, bud. How's it going, man? Oh, not too bad, just watching the border, you know. Where are you headed? Winnipeg. Oh, no way, say hey to Gary for me. You got anything in your car? I don't care, in you go. American side's a little different, isn't it? Right? You wanna know why? Because they told those guys somewhere along the line, they're like, hey, listen, you're the last line of defense. And they're all morons, so they're all like, I'm the last line of defense. I gotta protect my country, I'm the last line of defense. You're not the last line of defense, you're not protecting your country. You're just delaying Canadians' trips to Target, that's all you're doing. Right? And it's just like, I got a nice border cop once and I was immediately terrified, okay? I had no idea how to handle it because I was like, they're not nice, this is a trick. And I was right, all right? I was right because I got detained for 3.5 hours because I borrowed my friend's car and he just didn't know how to handle that. Like he just didn't understand the concept of borrowing. He just looked at me, he's like, well, where's your friend now? Like he's at work in Toronto and he just gave you his car? Like, well, I gotta give it back. And he just sat there with this stupid look on his face, and at that moment in time, I realized border cops don't have friends. You wouldn't hang out with somebody who's that big of a dick. You wouldn't go to Ed's house if you showed up there and he's like, what are you doing here? Like, you invited me over to watch the game. You got anything on you? Yeah, snacks, get out of the doorway. You have to be an ass to ask the dumbest question to thousands of people every single day of your life. Where are you headed? The other side of the goddamn line! They're all gonna say the same thing! No one's gonna get here and be like, isn't this more Canada? Guys, thanks a lot. You've been so much fun.
When we return, Mind Your Manners with Matt Falk, here on the Winnipeg Comedy Festival.
This next comedian has a real funny last name, Falk. You know, going through life with a name like that, that'd be interesting, man. I know, I've heard it. Yeah, I heard everything. So give it up for Matt Falk.
Thank you very much. I am a very bad neighbor in restaurants. Like, you do not want to sit beside me. I'll give you an example. My wife and I went to London for our 5-year wedding anniversary. Anyone ever been to London? Ontario, it's beautiful in the spring, isn't it? Switcheroo. We went to this restaurant, and it was the fanciest place I've ever been to. There was a guy taking our coats at the door. I had no idea he didn't work there. No idea. You just trust him. So they brought us towards these chairs, and the chairs in the restaurant were clear, transparent plastic. And that's a problem for me because I have what my wife affectionately refers to as perpetual plumber's crack. So, does anyone suffer from perpetual plumber's crack, PPC, as we call it? Any PPC suffers? I'll explain. Essentially, my butt is small enough that my pants will always fall down, and yet somehow my crack is big enough to make everyone uncomfortable. Do you know what I'm talking about? The crack to butt ratio is not right. Chairs in general, I have a problem with. Why do they always put that little gap? Huh? Right where you don't want the gap. If you've got PPC, that is a frame. So they brought us towards the chairs, and they sit my wife first, and then they sit me, and right away, I can feel it. Like, I know she can't see nothing because we're making eye contact, but I also know at this exact moment, I am now mooning this entire half of the restaurant. And it's not like a normal moon either. It's like a squished up against clear plastic. And they bring out our food. Now, keep in mind, it's a quiet restaurant. It's like quiet. There's music, but it's making it feel quieter somehow. The only music was like, Mia Rosie. Yeah. What? Wasn't even coming through the speakers. It was just a dude in the corner. He was just humming, I think, while he was eating his soup. Just Mia Rosie. They bring out our food. It's fancy food. It's like duck fufu or something like that. I don't know. But I took a bite and I was confused and I breathed when I should have been chewing. Maybe I chew when I should have been breathing. I don't know. But I verschlucked. Now, verschlucked is a Mennonite word which roughly translates to choke at an inopportune time. Okay? You're thinking like a cough. It's not a cough. A cough is like, excuse me. That's adorable, okay? A verschluck is a good, hearty Mennonite thing, okay? You do what it sounds like. You verschluck it out. You understand? I don't know if it's a noun or a verb. Used in a sentence, it's I verschlucked myself. You tell me. I have no idea. Stop looking at me like you don't know what I'm talking about. Everyone's got one verschlucker in their family, whether you're Mennonite or not. Usually it's mom. Mom's the verschlucker. She will verschluck and ruin everyone's night. She doesn't even care. She'll like verschluck for 20 minutes on nothing too. Try to convince you she's fine. She's turning purple in the kitchen. I'm fine. I'm fine. Just eat. Just eat. Just eat. I don't want the pierogies, Mom. You verschlucked all over them. What are you doing? So in this restaurant, I went into phase 1 of the verschluck. Phase 1 is simple. It's just this. That's it. Now, my wife knows what phase 1 of a verschluck looks like, but she also knows what phase 3 of a verschluck looks like, and she did not want that to happen in this quiet, Mia Rosie British restaurant. So as soon as I went, she just looked at me like, don't you dare. You know, if you've been married a while, you have that language you can speak without even saying a word. We had that in that moment. It was beautiful. As soon as I went, we had an understanding that I was just gonna have to die. I was not to cough it up, just let the darkness overcome you. Take one for the team for once. But your body won't let you do that, so I went into phase 2, which is I suppressed that back to phase 1. Now, when you suppress a verschluck at phase 1, it prolongs the verschluck experience, but it intensifies phase 3, you understand? So I knew I needed to get out of there as quickly as possible before I projectile verschlucked all over everybody. So this is me, I'm like... Excuse me, do you know where the bathroom is? Perchance, could you direct me towards the bathroom? They don't know whether to find a waiter or an exorcist at this point. They finally show me the bathroom. They don't call it a bathroom in London. They call it a water closet. Yeah. So now I'm standing in front of this door that says water closet. This poor Mennonite kid from Niverville, Manitoba, thinking, I don't want to die in the utility room. Picture this. I'm in the lobby now, the quietest and busiest part of that restaurant. My body doesn't even care. My body's like, all right, commence phase 3. I went full phase 3 for schluck, right there in that lobby, in front of everybody. Ha, 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 for schluck, ha.
I turn around, I'm sweating, I'm crying, my mascara's running. The music has stopped. I just stammer back towards my chair. My wife's like, you okay? Oh, yeah. She goes, because everyone heard.
Oh, I know, I'm good. The waiter came up. Was expecting to be all polite and British about it. Discreet. Maybe walk up and go, excuse me, sir. Can we get you some water, sir? Some water for your verschlucking, sir? Some verschlucking water, perhaps. But no, I guess people had been complaining and this was the last straw. So he just walked up and he announced himself. He's like, excuse me, sir, but would you please pull up your pants? Thank you guys very much. My name is Matt Falk. I love you.
Tommy Chong finds the pot at the end of the rainbow, next on the Winnipeg Comedy Festival.
One time, I was driving home, and I don't know what happened, but I got paranoid. I looked in the mirror, I said, oh, shit, they're following me. Of course, I'm on a freeway, you know. And then, I don't know what happened. I got pulled over by a caution light. It was blinking, oh, shit. Found my wallet, got my license out, sitting there, waiting, lights flashing. Pretty soon I forgot why I was stopping. Well, as long as I'm here, might as well fire one up. so I'm smoking, having a party of one, you know, looking for something to play on the radio. Cops pull up. And he yells at me, what are you stopping here for? I said, didn't you pull me over? I swear, he was more stoned than I was. He looked at me for the longest time, then he goes, did I? Oh, yeah. And you can have fun with pot, with the animals. I got my cat stoned one day. I didn't mean to, I just didn't see him in the room. And I didn't realize he was stoned until I watched him walk off a table. He'd walk on, just fell over. And then he grabbed onto something, and he's hanging there with a claw. And he looks at me like, I'm okay. No, I'm cool. Then he got cottonmouth or something. He walks over to me, he starts going. I thought I was going deaf, man. Is this cat meowing? Then I saw he's stoned, man. Oh. So I give him a little kitty drug test. I threw him at the curtains and he didn't stick. Okay, our next comedian is from Chicago, but he moved to Toronto during the Obama years, and then he moved back to the U.S. just in time for Trump. So give it up for Mark James Heath.
Oh, man, it's good to be back in Canada. Yeah. with the illusion of safety. Ah, missed it so much. Yeah, I did. So Toronto is my Canadian neighborhood. It was always so funny, like when I would talk to my Canadian friends about a bad neighborhood. I had one of my Toronto friends tell me a story about a bad neighborhood. He was like, yeah, man, I was in this neighborhood, and these guys, they rolled up on me. I had on a red shirt. They pulled up, and it was a car full of guys, and they were like, hey, bro, we don't like red around here, bro. And then they drove away. So the gangbangers gave you a warning, huh? That's rough, man. Woo. I remember the first year that we moved here. Toronto is kind of like the gun violence capital of your country, pretty much, right? Like there was 60 gun homicides in that year, the first year we were here. And that really made me feel bad because my reaction was just oh, 60, oh God. That's a weekend for us. This is great. Oh, honey, let's unpack the car. Home sweet home, let's never leave. But that was the year there was this bad shooting at the Scarborough Town Center, which is where I was at. I was in Scarborough, and there was this shooting at the Scarborough Town Center. And I don't know if you know what it feels like to survive the south side of Chicago, to come up and almost get shot in Canada. It's a little embarrassing, folks, I have to tell you. I had people calling me from home concerned, hey, man, I heard it was a shooting up there at the Scarborough Town Center. Are you all right? Fam, are you calling me from America right now? About gun violence? You understand? That's like getting a call from Greece, how's the economy? Solid? People working? Is it good? Why would there be a gunfight in a mall? What's that about? Who are these gang members hanging out at the Disney store? Calm down. Nobody wants to get killed at a food court. I'm not trying to get shot at the Manchu Walk, personally. I already regret eating here in the first place. Now I have a stomachache and a bullet wound. Cut that out, please. You're a sociopath. You like to settle your differences by murdering people. All right, don't be lazy about it. Google map directions to that person's house. What are you, running errands with a gun hoping you bump into your enemy? You posted up in front of the Canadian Tire he gotta come in here sometime. They having a sale on dehumidifiers. He lives in a basement apartment. I don't know, I feel like now is a time where to be a good neighbor, we have to be empathetic. We have to stand up for each other. You know, things that necessarily don't even apply to you. If you see something that's wrong, you have to speak up about it. I'm a big problem that I have right now is people getting upset when women breastfeed in public. I think it's really stupid. You know what I mean? Especially because I think at the root of it, the core of it, is this issue that we have where if heterosexual dudes are turned on, everybody else has to manage that. Everybody else has to change their life because you are excited sexually. I get it. You're excited by breasts, but she's just being a mom, man. Calm down. You have to manage that yourself. A lot of women are turned on when they see a good dad, but I have never been stopped in the mall with my kids by a security guard, and he's like, hey, sir, you are being very loving and supportive, responsible and assertive right now. We're gonna need you to put a blanket over yourself. You're gonna have to cover up. You're getting everybody worked up, sir. Thank you.
Shut the front door. It's grouchy neighbor Tim Nutt up next.
Okay, we're going to keep this show rolling and having a good rolling. I like that one. We're going to keep this show moving and laughing, but this next comic, he's phenomenal. Wait till you see him. Give it up for Tim Nutt.
All righty. I'm glad to be here because I'm not at home. Hate my neighbors. And it's the weirdest thing that is, if there's ever a zombie apocalypse, I'm kind of cheering for it. Because I can't wait. I just look around my neighborhood just waiting for somebody to come eat these idiots. So that's what I do. Every once in a while, I just, like, you just feel like such an idiot. You woke up one morning, you just go to start your car, there's zombies everywhere, and you're like, damn it. I didn't even sharpen anything. Damn it. So that's what I do. That's my big zombie plan. That's what I do. Every once in a while, I just sharpen something. Something probably didn't even need sharpening. Like the other day, I sharpened a shovel. No reason. And I don't know if you live in a neighborhood like mine, like what is this code or unwritten rule that if you turn on some sort of power tool with your garage door, the idiots can just wander over? This is a mystery to me because I'm not nice to these people. And I have mirrors at my house and I'm pretty sure I don't look friendly. So I'm there sharpening my shovel. The idiot walks over. Like, Dad, what you doing? I'm like, none of your damn business. I don't come over to your house and ask you questions, because I'm a good neighbor. Then he goes, this kind of looks like you're sharpening a shovel. I'm like, you turn first in the apocalypse, you'll find out what this is for. And I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's probably about a 90% chance that if there ever is a zombie apocalypse, I'm just gonna kill this guy. Even if he's not a zombie. And that probably seems a little harsh that I'm just gonna whack this guy. But here's the story. A couple years ago, I decided that I was gonna finish my basement. We bought the house, unfinished basement. I figured I'd give it a whirl. I had some free time and a bit of cash set aside, and I thought maybe if I do it myself, I'll have enough money for a new TV and a PlayStation. I'm an idiot. And I don't know if anybody who does the drywall. Apparently, it's a little more complicated, and it takes a little bit more skill and finesse than watching a couple hours of YouTube videos. Like literally, if you do drywall professionally, you're some form of wizard. Like, I don't even know why we're still using drywall. What a stupid thing to put in our houses. It's paper with mud in the middle, and it's unwieldy, and it breaks, and it's stupid. We're a species that has been to the moon. We have cracked the human genome. Let's get on the damn drywall problem. I'm not kidding. Here's what I want. Here's what I want. I want a softball-sized thing that you can gently lob at an unfinished wall, and it'll explode and become a paintable surface with the outlets perfectly cut out. That's what I want. That's not too much to ask, and I honestly believe that there are scientists out there working on crap nobody needs or wants. People at the Gillette Razor Company, there's a guy in a room somewhere trying to figure out how to put 6 blades on a razor. He can't sleep at night. He can't figure out what to do. He's like, they're gonna fire me if I don't get 6 on. Yeah, fire him. Get him over to the drywall problem. It's a miserable experience. And I thought I was gonna have a good go of it. And I tried real hard. Oh, if there is a zombie apocalypse, the second person that's gonna die is the architect that designed my house. I'm gonna find that. It's TV, so I can't tell you what he is. I'm gonna stab him through his stupid, stupid heart. Seems harsh again, but here's the thing. He designed a stairway down to my basement that you can't get a full 4x8 sheet of drywall down. Best you can do, 7 feet 9 inches. That's the best you can do. So I ordered all the drywall, and there's me in the garage cutting 3-inch strips off the drywall, and there's my neighbor. What you doing? Go away. And it was a miserable, miserable, miserable experience. Because I'd take the 7 foot 9 inch sheets down to the basement, and I tried to Frankenstein it all together in a perfect way, because the guy that put the studs in didn't put them 7 feet 9 inches. No, they're the full 8 feet. And every morning started the same way. I'd get up and I'd take 6 Robaxacet and drink half a can of beer. And then I would cry and cry the dust from yesterday out of my eyes. So I finally get the whole thing done. And I'd saved enough money, and I didn't tell you this, but my neighbor is a painter, a house painter. And I figured that I was done working. I didn't want to do this anymore. And what I wanted him to do was come over and give him an estimate on how much it would cost to paint the basement, because then it would look really nice and the wife would be really happy and everything would be good. So he comes down the stairs, looks at the drywall. 10 seconds in, he's like, "You got a lot of seams." And then I told him the story of the architect that was gonna die. And he looks around a little bit more and he points at the window and he goes, "I don't know why you didn't just pop that out and bring it in sideways." 4 months. He watched me. Didn't say a word. Now, I don't know where you come down on the whole afterlife issue. I don't know how you come down on your spiritual beliefs, because we've never really talked. You're an audience and I'm here. But if there is a traditional hell, like we've been taught in the books and the stories, and I end up there somehow, I'm almost 100% convinced this is going to be my first 5 minutes in hell. So I get there, poof, and there's the devil. And he's got the horns, and he's red, and he's got pointy teeth, and a pitchfork, and a tail, and the cloven feet. And I'm like, wow, this is kind of weird. And Hitler's got the clipboard. And Hitler goes, "Look, it's him, it's here. Oh my goodness, we're so happy." And the devil is like, "Oh, you killed your neighbor, did you? That's what got you here? Okay, now, we've got all the things you've heard about. We've got the lake of fire and the eternal damnation. We've got the demons that are ready to poke and prod and torture and tickle and do all manner of nasty things for you. We've got absence from the sight of God, which people believe is the worst part of being here. But before we get to any of that, we have a small drywall project we'd like you to work on." Thank you so much. Good night.
That's it. That's it. Hey, give yourself a nice round of applause. You've been a beautiful audience. Beautiful audience. And when you leave here tonight, be a good neighbor. You know, if you see some homeless guy out there, give him some money. Or at least give him a smile. It could be me. Thank you very much for coming. And good night, good neighbors.